One of the best bang for buck investments I think you can make in your home studio is an acoustic cloud system. In other words, hanging bass traps off the ceiling with an air gap. In fact, any kind of acoustic treatment, I think the ROI is pretty spectacular, particularly treatments that help smooth out the low end. You do have to do a bit of homework and you're gonna get your hands a little dirty, but I think it's well worth it. This cloud system was around $700 US all in, which is pretty affordable, especially considering the gear that I own in this room. But the kind of impact that it has made in my production, I think it's multiple times worth that investment.
So one of the lame things about the cloud system for Music City is that you have to buy this separately. Like, this doesn't come with a kit. It's kind of a bummer. It cost me 40 bucks, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Now, one of the big misconceptions I think that people have is that somehow acoustic treatment is this all or nothing kind of an endeavor. It's this holy quest for the flat response curve, especially for a home studio. Not only is this unrealistic and incredibly expensive, it's downright nearly impossible unless you're purposefully like building the room to absolute specific specs. And you still have to probably do some digital tuning and EQ. Okay, we're ready to install. All right, we found the center of the listening position. Yeah? Should I do the stud joke? Stud buddy joke? Okay, all right. Stop that. Okay, we're gonna put the 1x6s on these clouds. Okay. All right. I think we want to put the clean side like this way. Something like that, right? I think for home studios and most non-purposeful rooms, acoustic treatment is kind of a journey and it's a progress. Odd rooms and spaces have their own distinct vibe. But still, getting some treatment in the room, especially when you compare to the cost of acoustic treatment, say to your laptop or your outboard gear, the ROI on the acoustic treatment is, I think, well worth it. Okay, where is this? This way? Oh, right there. Excellent cross there. Right there, right? So we're trying to find if it is horizontal or vertical, right? So if there's one, I'm gonna take this out. All right, sorry about the dogs. We've marked most of the studs on the ceiling, or I'm sorry, joists. Like inside most homes, bass management is the biggest problem, and anything to do to mitigate that is step number one. It's not a tiny room, but still, it's essentially a rectangular box, so pretty terrible when it comes to bass management. But I still need to balance one of my other key priorities for this new space, which was, the vibe. I wanted windows to the outside world with like sunlight, artwork on the wall, to name a few examples. Yeah, that's literally the question. I think from the drawing, you wanna put the screws in the edge first. Don't screw the middle one in, and then make sure that there's like a little gap here. So that's the first, right? Okay, so we have an issue here. Our studs are 24 inches apart, so we can't quite stretch it out, so it has to be, we gotta kind of move it around. The instructions don't quite apply to what we need to do. Yeah, we can just do that at the end, but like that, this is the most important part, is getting this edges and that, yeah, to match that up. Like I said, acoustic treatment for the home studio is not like an all or nothing proposition. It's a process and a sort of a balancing act. Besides, you're still checking your mix with your headphones in your car or at another studio anyway. You can get a room compensator plugin. All the great mixers that I know don't necessarily have like perfect flat response environments, but they definitely do know how their mixes translate to other systems. No room is perfect. Your ears can even deceive you with ear fatigue, for example. Having a perfect response curve isn't gonna really help you with ear fatigue. But a treated room is just still another small investment you can make that can help you to make better decisions and also just make listening more enjoyable.
Okay, so we're doing some math here. We got the cloud fully assembled, and we got the 24 eyes in place. Our room is 163 wide, and I'm gonna be 7 feet from the wall. That's the listening position. So according to our math, is the room width minus the width of the cloud divided by 2 plus the offset of the eye screw, which is 12 inches. So 55.5 inches from the ceiling. No, from the wall, side wall is where the studs are gonna be. So we found one.
Before the acoustic cloud, I did have a bunch of treatments in place already. I have multiple corner bass traps along the wall behind the desk, as well as on the rear wall with the couch, also being a nice source of low-end absorption. The windows do have wood shutters, so while it's not great, it can somewhat reduce early reflections, act as a diffuser of sorts. It's certainly better than a flat wall or glass. But still, I wanted a bit more bass control, and so the one area that was wide open, well, was the ceiling. So this cloud system, essentially again a hanging bass trap with equal thickness air gap, could be a super effective way to get a lot more control over your low end and vastly improve overall imaging, especially and specifically at your listening position, and still keep your vibe. Now, drilling holes in your ceiling and hanging something super heavy right above you can be a little daunting. But honestly, as I did more research, if you can find your joists, as I learned that it's the ceiling equivalent of studs, it's actually not a huge deal. After doing a bit of online research, I decided that the cloud system from Music City in Tennessee looked really promising. I will have links below, but this video is not sponsored by Music City. What won me over was really the video that I saw of them installing their own cloud system and explaining how it can be done. I've seen other cloud systems, and quite a few seem to be like one-offs, or they're custom installs specific to each recording space and very expensive. On the other hand, some other cloud systems look super janky and almost dangerous. But the system from Music City was affordable and reasonable. More importantly, the online install video really made sense to me and gave me the kind of confidence I needed, feeling that I could, actually do it myself.
We're at the final stages here. We got the turnbuckles up. It's stupid, it's really dark now. Music City, I don't know, man. This wasn't... Okay, so we have to get that up there. It's really heavy.
So I do have a few additional gripes. One thing, man, this thing was heavy. They suggest like having a friend. Well, try like 3 friends because 2 people was not enough. It's heavy, but it's also bulky, and both of us were on ladders. And you have to gingerly navigate the brackets into the eye screws, and I don't know, having never done it, it was very tricky. Again, I'm glad that I waited until I got 2 additional people because I think it could have been a little dangerous. Maybe some of you are like super weightlifters or whatnot, but I did not want to take any chances of one of us slipping off the ladder. Just having a spotter on the ground made things way easier. So don't underestimate the weight, or more importantly, like the bulk especially if you did what I did and assemble it into this one giant piece made of 3 bass traps. Because I still have my door and a few more bass traps to install, while I did do some preliminary frequency sweeps, I'll get to that once the room is completed. After that, I will have to decide what adjustments, if any, that I should still make. So listening back, usually I play a handful of tracks I know really well, especially the low end. I heard a noticeable improvement in the low bass response, especially the low mids. Imaging was way better too, since the reflections are reduced and muddiness cleared up. One big surprise though, and it was not a good one, was the unwanted vibrations from my Eurorack skiff stands. With the clouds in place, I needed to turn up the subwoofer a bit to compensate for the bass absorption. But this caused some of my skiffs to vibrate right around the 40-50 hertz. My skiffs are on these relatively affordable DJ stands from Amazon, and it was not holding up to the low frequencies, unfortunately. So I'll have to spend some time securing them somehow. Okay, well that's it for this studio update. I'm going to be installing the studio door in a few weeks, along with some other improvements. I'll post that on my next video. Thank you for sticking around and watching this. Again, it's your comments and your engagement and just your community that really makes all of these videos worthwhile making. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.